All right, good evening, folks. And Christmas is just around the corner. And it's hot in here, so if you see sweat on my face, yeah, it's hot. It's 78 degrees. The heater's still going, and windows open, and so I'm burning up. Of course, I'd burn up if I was at the equator, so that don't matter. Or, I mean, if I was at the North Pole, I'd still be sweating. So, anyway, we got another family recipe we want to do today. I want to try and make my grandmother's sour cream coconut cake. And this is a lengthy process. It's really not a lot of work. It's just a lot of time that's involved in it, waiting. And today, or tonight, it's nighttime here, we're going to make, my grandmother called it the filling. Some people would call it icing, frosting, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to make that now, which doesn't take long. It's just, I think, 3 basic ingredients. And we're going to put that together, and then it needs to sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And then I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll show you the rest of it there. So let me get set up, and we're going to try to do that now. Okay, guys, we have here 16 ounces of sour cream. I've got, these are 6-ounce packages of ground coconut or grated coconut. And we'll be adding out of that, I'm going to try to guess at it, but we need right at 16 ounces of coconut. You got to figure that up, and I'm pretty sure that's probably a weighted measurement. I don't think it's a volume measurement. There is a difference. Let me get my measuring spoon here, and we will go ahead and cut open a couple of these. This is something, I don't do this but maybe once or twice a year at the most, and I forget there's little tricks to this. And I know if you don't get this mixture right, it'll end up and it'll be runny. That one's partially froze, so. Now we have did this in years past with fresh coconut, but with one coconut, the size that they are now would not be enough. You would actually need 2. But you can take that milk that's in the coconut and put that in your cake batter. Guys, it makes the cake delicious. Alright, I'm going to start with that, and then we will see what happens here. Guys, I'm not a professional cake maker, okay? So I'm sure if there's any ladies watching, they're probably finding all kinds of things I'm doing wrong. I am going to add to this batter just a little bit of vanilla flavoring, and I'm also going to add a little bit of coconut flavoring, just a little bit. You don't need but about 1/4 of a teaspoon. This has not been opened, so I've got to open it. Man, does that ever smell good? It smells like snow cream. Alright, that's all I'm going to put to that. Alright, now, 16-ounce container of sour cream. And I'll blend this together, and we'll see what the consistency is going to look like, whether I need to put any more coconut in it or not. But guys, I will say the cake that we're making will be and I want to show this, it will be a 4-layer cake, but it won't be 4 cooked layers. It's going to be layers that are split. And I want to show you how my grandmother done that. This coconut's still a little hard, but we'll incorporate all this together. And I may need to let this sit out for a little while so I can get it blended together good. I think by the time, I believe that probably going to be about right, because the last little bit of coconut that you have left, you actually use it to garnish the top of the cake with. And there again, guys, it's smelling like Christmas time. I remember one year my grandmother made this cake and she actually put food coloring in the two separate pans. She baked it, she put her layer in 9-inch round pans, and she put food coloring, put green in one and red in the other, and then split her layers and alternated them as she put them on. So she had a red and a green with the white frosting. So kind of made it a Christmassy color. I remember her doing that one year. I can get these lumps broke up. Make sure, guys, your coconut's thawed out real good. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator overnight, and tomorrow I'll come back and we're going to make the cake. Of course, you're going to see all this in one video, so but just allow yourself the time to do this. Now, you should have time to do this before Christmas if you want to. I'm doing it early because we have a family member that loves coconut cake, and they have a birthday coming up, and we always try to make them a cake for their birthday. So we get to enjoy the coconut cake just a little early this year, always at Christmas. So, guys, from looking at how runny that is, I honestly think I'm going to need to put some more in there, because I can't remember year to year. It's something that I don't do on a normal basis. So I'm going to let this thaw out, and I'm probably going to add about half of this pack right here. I'll probably put about half of it and save the rest of it to garnish it. If I need to pick up another, I'll try to go do that tomorrow, and to be sure that I have it. So, but I can't remember. So anyway, I'm going to leave it right here. We're going to cover this, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator. And I have my grandmother's recipe, her handwritten recipe. I have that right here. I don't know how well that shows up. Trying to hold it right, but I have that, and that's real special. So anyway, guys, I'll be back tomorrow and we'll finish this up. Thank you. All right, good evening, guys. It's day 2 now. We've got our cakes made. I did not show how we fixed the cake. I figure most people have an idea on how to do that. I just use a regular Duncan Hines cake mix. That's what my grandmother used, so that's what I'm going to use. But right now, before I get into anything else, I want to show you a grandmother trick. This was her way of doing it. This is just regular sewing thread. And what I do, I'll take and split this layer about middle ways. I get it started with a knife, and my wife's gonna help. She's gonna hold that. It's always handy to have a extra hand here. If I can see the There we go. It may not be perfect, but it comes out pretty much every time. All right, now I'm gonna lay this one, and I want to say this too. On these cakes, you want to let them cool down, completely cool. Anytime you take a cake out of a pan, make sure it's cold, guys. It'll work a lot better.
You might already slide that over.
Yeah. But I remember helping my grandmother do this. Just start it just a little bit with a knife, and then you can take a string just like this. And this is a pretty heavy string. I had some thread. I don't know, it's old cheap thread. I don't know what I done with it, but it was full of slubs, and it worked good for this. So anyway, I just thought I'd show y'all that little trick. That's a grandma trick. So we're gonna get back to setting this cake up and getting it ready. See you then. Okay. You know, as I finished making this filling up yesterday, the question was I thought I had it a little loose, and I did. So guys, when you make this filling, don't put all of the sour cream in at one time. I would start with half of it, and you can add the coconut and the sugar, and that way if you feel like you need to add more, you can, because you can add but you cannot take away. So what I've had to do, I've had to actually get some more coconut to put in this to thicken it up just a little bit. It's still, as you can see, let me turn the camera around. As you can see, this is quite runny, but it'll work, because what it'll do, it'll actually soak down into the cake. Now, I'm not a cake person. I don't claim to be. So I know a lot of you ladies out there that do this, you probably can tell me everything that I'm doing wrong. And I might have a little left over here, and if I do, I know what we're going to do. We're going to make another one for ourselves. And I don't go all the way to the edge of this, because I don't want it running out making a mess. But you want a good maybe 3/8 of an inch to a 1/4 inch thick layer of this in here. Got just a little bit on the edge right there. I'll kind of work this out. Now this will be a 4-layer cake. Now I'm going to take this other layer that I have, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put it on just like it was, and we're going to put some more on here. That might be different from what most people would do. I've made a mess. Some people would not do that. I don't know. But I just do it this way. It might absorb into the cake better if I'd have turned it the other way. But it is what it is. We'll see. But this will, over time, soak into the cake, and it will make it good and moist and rich. And you need to find you a cool place that you can store this, preferably in a refrigerator if you had room. But if you don't, as I know this time of year people's refrigerators begin to fill up. But if you don't, you can also always put it in a cool room that you have. And I've got the cake pan that I'm going to put it in, so it'll be protected. And we do use the Duncan Hines cake mix. Let me show you that. This is the butter golden, and this works. This is what my grandmother, she didn't really have butter golden, but she had Duncan Hines is what she used. And another thing I want to say regards to ingredients and products, things like that. See, guys, this goes all the way back into the early 80s that I remember her making this cake. And it's amazing to me how, in that length of time, how ingredients have changed. And I don't know if it's due to weights and volumes have changed, because you can take a recipe that worked in the 80s and use the same ingredients today, and for whatever reason it comes out different. So I don't know what the whys are on that. I'm going to turn this one like this because, and if you're particular about it, I kind of like my top to look halfway even, not lopsided. That's close. And I'm going to top it with this, but I'm also, before I'm done, I'll garnish it with coconut. But this needs to sit at least 2 to 3 days, and to allow all these flavors to intermingle. I guess that's the right way to say that. Guys, I know I may not be doing this right. You ladies is probably sitting there cringing looking at me doing this. But I'm doing it the best way I know how. Now, I never had my grandmother to sit down and take me step by step in doing this. I remember watching her do it. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. And now, we're just going to take some regular Cool Whip, and we're going to cross the sides with that. And my wife, y'all saw her, she's done left to go to work, so that's why she's not here. Or she would be doing this. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. We're going to garnish it with our fresh coconut. Okay, guys, I'm going to call this done. So I hope if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will try to put this recipe down in the description. And like I say, I would not use that full amount of sour cream to begin with. I would just use about a half of it to start with, and you can always add to it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this if you try it. It's always been a favorite in our family. I can't make it to look as pretty as my grandmother could. She had that, you know, as most women do when they make a cake, they just have that natural touch. But I hope folks that get this will enjoy this. So guys, y'all have a great day, and thank you for watching from Little NC Farmer.